I grew up in a Christian home with two parents who also grew up in Christian families. When I was young, about 7, my parents moved to a camp in Central Illinois, a Christian youth camp. And that was a really, really cool way to grow up, just surrounded by youth groups and Christian kids. And coupled with that, I also grew up in the church, surrounded by a family that didn't just believe it, but they lived it. You know, I had a faith, I saw how it had played out in my family's lives, but I did not have a direction. And I did not have a purpose that I felt like I was being pulled towards or called to, just kind of searching, longing for a fulfillment that it seemed like everybody else in my family had. After, you know, searching from school to church, you know, the slopes of Colorado, I think I finally came down to, well, I want to pursue music in some sort. And I had a cousin in Nashville, and I finally just said, all right, let's go, let's try it. And then I moved down to Nashville just hoping to find music or write or play, or I wasn't really sure. And just started bartending and waiting tables. Alongside that was just a life of partying, of pleasure. I mean, just fun. It was great, I'm not gonna lie, it was a blast. I had a lot of fun, but it's also very unhealthy. It just became continual, just meeting girls and drinking. By 5 years in, I had moments where I laughed at myself and knew, fools do this, you are living like a fool. Probably a year and a half after that, 6.5 years in, by that point, it was serious. It was drinking every day as soon as I get up because I would have a horrible hangover. And I was starting to think, this is gonna be rough, making it change at this point. I was pretty functional, considering. Went to work and maintained this I party every night kind of attitude. And I partied openly every night so that when people would smell down me the next day, it was normal because, well, guy parties every night. I was at my sister and brother-in-law's house, checking on their house. They were in South America for his work. And I was drinking, and I just had this totally normal moment of going, this has to stop. Like, I have to stop. I will die at some point from this if I don't. And I couldn't stop that night because I had to work the next 3 days, and I knew it's gonna be ugly and I won't be able to work. I knew after Wednesday night at work, I would have 4 days off in a row. So I prayed to God that night. I said, God, I need to stop drinking on Wednesday. So please keep me safe for the next 3 days. So that night, Wednesday night, I went back to my sister and brother-in-law's and took my last drink and went to bed. And I would say I woke up 4 or 5 in the morning with immediate DTs. This was not a day later, this was hours. And I mean, I couldn't see straight, kind of hyperventilating. I'd had one before, so I knew exactly what it was. I'd had the doctor explain it to me. So that started Thursday morning, really early before the sun came up, and that just went all day, all night. Friday, all day, all night. And I should have, you know, been with a doctor or nurse, been at a rehab center, something, just to make sure I was okay. But as I was laying there, I just kept remembering this prayer from a book about a Celtic monk that I loved growing up. My dad introduced me to the author. The prayer that he goes to anytime he doesn't know what to do is, Lord, have mercy. And it's just, he repeats it. It just becomes this meditation. Lord, have mercy, Lord, have mercy, Lord, have mercy. And that's what I did from Thursday morning till Saturday. Knowing the whole time and kind of laughing at myself that, like, I really don't deserve this mercy, this grace, but asking anyway and receiving it. Saturday morning, I think the last DT was around 11 o'clock. And I got up and I started drinking water and started keeping water down. And Saturday night, I finally slept. Just fell asleep, crashed out, and got up the next day and went to church. That was pretty much my first response. Talked to the campus pastor that Sunday morning and said, this is where I'm at. What can I do? Who can I talk to? How can I get connected?